the night when the sky roared. For a million years ago, the land was wild and full of danger. Tall grass moved like waves under the hot sun. Giant animals walked the plains, and the nights were filled with strange calls. In this world lived a small group of early humans, simple beings who walked on two legs but still kept many ancient instincts. They did not speak words like people today. They used sounds, signs, and quick movements to share meaning. Their lives were not easy. Every day was a fight to survive. They searched for fruit, roots, and insects. Sometimes they found dead animals left behind by lions or hyenas. They feared thunder, darkness, and anything new. But among them was a young female named Luma. She was curious, always watching the world with wide eyes. She noticed patterns others ignored. How birds warned of danger, how animals moved before a storm, how shadows shifted before sunset. Luma did not understand these things with reason. She simply felt them. One evening, the group gathered near a cluster of trees. The sun had dropped behind the hills, leaving the sky painted with orange and red. The air was calm. Children clung to their mothers. Adults rested after a long day of searching for food. The night was beginning, and danger usually came with it. But this night was different. A faint rumble shook the air. Luma heard it first. Her head turned toward the horizon. The others followed her eyes, sensing her alertness. A strange light appeared high in the sky, bright, white, and trembling like a star that had lost its place. It moved fast, faster than any bird. The light grew larger, brighter, and suddenly split into smaller sparks. The group panicked. Some ran into the trees. Others pressed their backs against rocks. Children cried out in fear. Luma stood frozen, watching the sky with a mix of terror and awe. The bright object screamed to the air with a deep roar, louder than any storm. It cut across the sky and slammed into the distant valley with a booming crash. The earth shook under their feet. Birds erupted into flight. A thin column of smoke rose in the distance, glowing with a strange blue light. Nothing like this had ever happened in their lives. The leader of the group, an older male with wide shoulders and a broken tooth, barked warning calls. He pushed the others farther back into the trees. To him, the falling light was a monster or a sign of death. The group huddled together, trembling. But Luma did not move. She stared toward the glowing valley. Something inside her pulled her toward it. She felt fear, yes, but also a strange curiosity. She had never seen light fall from the sky before. It was terrifying, but also beautiful. The night grew darker, but the blue glow continued to pulse like a heartbeat. The smoke carried a sharp, unknown smell. Strange echoes drifted through the valley, soft at first, then followed by crackling sounds. Animals were restless. Monkeys screamed from the trees. Antelopes ran in confused circles. Even the predators stayed quiet, unsure of this new threat. Luma stepped forward. Just one step. Her foot touched the grass, and for a moment everything felt still. The leader growled at her, warning her to stay. But she looked at him, then at the smoke. Her eyes showed something new, something early humans rarely felt. Curiosity stronger than fear. The night stretched on, heavy and silent. No one slept. No one moved far from the group. But Luma stayed awake the longest, watching the strange blue glow until the sky began to lighten with dawn. When the sun finally rose, the smoke was still there, and Luma knew one thing. Whatever fell from the sky was not from this world, and it was waiting. The first signs of curiosity. The next morning rose with quiet tension. The sky was clear, and the sun warmed the plains, but nothing felt normal. The group moved slowly, unsure of their surroundings. Every shadow looked dangerous. Every sound made their hearts jump. The great crash from the night before had changed the valley, even if they did not understand how. Luma woke earlier than the others. She had barely slept. The strange blue glow had faded with the night, but the smoke was still there, drifting upward in a thin, gray line. It marked the place where the sky had fallen. Her eyes kept returning to it. The older male, the group's leader, was nervous. He sniffed the air again and again, checking for danger. His movements were sharp and uneasy. He wanted to lead the group far from the valley, away from the unknown. but water sources lay in that direction. Safe shelter. 2. Moving away would be dangerous in its own way. Luma senses fear, but she felt something different. The valley did not feel like a threat. It felt like a mystery. While the leader pushed the group towards safer ground, Luma lingered behind. She moved softly, her steps quiet and light. She listened to the plains carefully. No roars, no cracking earth, no sign of a monstrous creature crawling from the smoke. Only distant pops and soft humming sounds. Things she had never heard before. When she bent down to touch the ground, she felt something strange. The earth was warm, not from the sun. It was too early for that. This warmth came from deep below, as if the crash had heated the stones inside the soil. The leader barked at her again, calling her back. She obeyed this time, but kept turning her head toward the smoke. Her mind was full of questions she did not know how to ask. The group moved toward a cluster of trees, searching for fruit and insects to eat. But the animals behaved strangely today. A group of antelopes stood frozen, staring in the direction of the crash site. Even the birds were quieter than normal, their calls sharp and confused. A large vulture circled the sky above the smoky valley, but did not dare fly closer. The air carried a metallic smell, sharp and cold, unlike anything the early humans knew. The leader covered his nose, making warning sounds. The others copied him, believing the strange scent meant danger. But Luma breathed it in deeply. It did not hurt her. It only made her more curious. Later in the day, while the group rested near the shade, she wandered a little farther from them. Not too far, just enough to see beyond the trees. That was when she noticed something new. Tracks. Not animal tracks, not human tracks. Something different. The prints were small, round, and spaced evenly apart. They pressed deep into the soft dirt, as if whatever made them was heavy. They led toward the crashed object. Luma crouched low, touching the prints with her fingertips. The dirt inside them was still warm. Her heart beat faster, but not from fear. She felt excitement, even if she did not know the word for it. She followed the tracks for a few steps, studying them. They did not match anything she had ever seen. No lion, no hyena, no elephant. These tracks belonged to something new, something unknown. A loud, snapping sound burst behind her. She jumped and spun around. The leader had followed her and was furious. He beat the ground with his fists and barked sharply, making it clear she was not allowed near the valley. He grabbed her arm and dragged her back to the group. The others watched with wide eyes. They feared the leader's anger, but they feared the unknown even more. To them, the strange tracks proved that a creature had fallen from the sky, maybe a monster or a spirit. The leader's warnings were clear. No one would go near the valley. They would avoid it at all costs. But deep inside, Luma felt the opposite. She believed they needed to understand what had fallen. Something inside her whispered that their lives were already changing, and running from it would not save them. Hours passed. The sun climbed high, then slowly began to fall. But the smoke never stopped rising. Just before sunset, everything changed again. A strange sound drifted across the plains, a soft hum mixed with a clicking rhythm. It was gentle, not loud, but the sound was unlike anything the early humans had ever heard. Even the wind seemed to pause, carrying the sound farther into the trees. The group froze in fear. Mothers pulled children close. The leader held a stone in his hand, ready to strike. Everyone stared in the direction of the smoke, except Luma. She stepped forward. Not far, just a single step, but it was a bold step, one that no one else dared to take. Her eyes searched the horizon. The humming sound grew louder for a moment, then faded again. Something had awakened near the crash site, something alive, and Luma felt that whatever it was watching them. The first hunters. Morning came with a restless silence. The plains were never truly quiet. There were always insects, birds, distant roars. But today everything felt different. Even the wind seemed to move carefully, as if it feared waking something hidden. The strange humming sounds from the valley had faded, yet the memory of them stayed in everyone's minds. The group moved slowly, staying close together. They searched for food in the usual places, but nothing felt normal. Many animals had left the area entirely. Tracks of antelope, zebras, and even large predators pointed away from the smoky valley. It was as if the entire ecosystem had decided the plains were no longer safe. The leader tried to hunt small animals, but he failed. His strikes were rushed and clumsy because his mind was full of fear. The others also struggled. Their hands shook. Their senses were confused by the metallic smell still drifting from a valley. Today, everything felt wrong. But Luma noticed something important. While the others were scared and distracted, she found new tracks. Not the strange round ones from before. These were different. These prints belonged to animals that were normally too fast or too cautious to approach this area. Now, for some reason, they had become bold. She crouched low, studying a set of small antelope prints. The dirt around them was soft, showing the animal had passed by only moments earlier. She looked deeper into the bushes and saw a flash of movement. A young antelope, unaware of danger, grazing too close. This was an opportunity. Luma made a soft clicking sound. It was not a word, just a quiet call. The group's leader turned his head sharply. His eyes followed hers. He saw the animal. For a moment, his fear vanished. Hunger was stronger. He dropped low and motioned for the others. Luma stayed behind him, watching closely. This was not the normal way they hunted. Usually they only scavenged or chased weak animals. But today, something inside the group had shifted. They were moving with more purpose, more unity. And strangely, Luma felt that this new confidence came from the strange event in the valley. It was as if the falling light had pushed them into a new stage of survival. The leader crept forward, followed by 2 males and 1 female. Their steps were soft. Their bodies moved with caution. Luma stayed still, learning from their motions. When they were close enough, the leader attacked. He leaped with surprising speed, striking the antelope's side with a broken branch. The animal stumbled and fell. The others rushed in, using stones in their fists to finish the kill. Their movements were fast and fierce. The hunt lasted only seconds. When it was over, the group gathered around the kill, breathing hard. They were excited, energized. This was not scavenging. This was a true hunt, a moment that marked a tiny step forward in the long path of human evolution. But something else happened in that moment. The strange humming sound returned, soft at first, then louder. The group froze with bloody hands. The leader looked up sharply. Luma's heart thumped hard in her chest. The humming sound rolled across the plains, slow and smooth, like an animal breathing. But it was not an animal. It had rhythm. It pulsed. It sounded intentional. Then came the clicking, slow, steady, almost like footsteps. The leader dropped into a defensive stance, gripping a stone tightly. The others huddled close. Their eyes scanned the grasses, searching for danger. Luma did the opposite. She listened, really listened. The humming was coming from the direction of the valley, the crash site, but it was closer than before. Much closer. Something was moving. The leader barked a command. Run. The group grabbed what they could carry from the kill and retreated quickly, staying close together. But Luma moved slower. She kept glancing behind her, and that was when she saw it. Something large moved in the tall grass, not fast, not hunting, just moving with direction. At first, she thought it might be a lion, but lions did not glow. This creature glowed. Soft, pale light shimmered from between the grass blades. It was not bright like fire. It was more like the gentle reflection of the moon, except the sun was still in the sky. The creature's shape was hard to see, but Luma glimpsed a round surface, smooth like stone. She saw legs or limbs moving, but not like any animal she knew. Her breath caught. This thing was the source of the tracks. This thing was not from Earth. She should have been terrified, but she wasn't. She felt that same strange curiosity, even stronger now. Her eyes followed the glowing shape as it moved parallel to the group, keeping distance but not hiding. It was watching them, studying them, learning from them. The leader finally noticed Luma lagging behind. He barked sharply and pulled her forward. The group retreated deeper into the trees until they were far from a valley. Only then did they stop to eat the small antelope. But Luma could not forget what she saw. The smooth, glowing surface, the strange movement, the feeling that the creature was intelligent. While the others ate nervously, Luma stared toward the horizon. For the first time in her life, she understood a truth that her mind could not fully shape. They were no longer the only hunters in this land. Something new had arrived, and soon they would meet it face to face. The encounter, the night after the glowing creature appeared, was filled with tension. The group slept in broken pieces, waking at every sound. Even the trees seemed restless, their leaves shaking with the slightest wind. The strange humming had stopped again, but the silence it left behind felt heavier than noise. Luma stayed awake longer than anyone. She sat beside a short tree trunk, listening to the steady beat of her own heart. Her mind kept returning to the glowing shape she had seen in the grass. She pictured its smooth surface, its slow movements, its strange calmness. It did not act like a predator. It did not chase them. It only watched. Why? She did not have words to ask this question, but she felt it deeply. When the sky finally began to turn gray with dawn, the group started to move. They needed water. They needed more food. And most of all, they needed safety. The leader wanted to travel far from the valley. He believed the creature was a danger, a sky monster, something that would hunt them if they stayed too close. But Luma thought differently. She sensed that the creature was curious, not angry, interested, not hunting. Her instincts whispered that something important waited near the smoky valley. Still, she followed the group for now, keeping her thoughts inside. As they walked through the tall grass, Luma noticed unusual signs. A cluster of birds sat silently on a tree branch, watching the valley. Small animals ran quickly across the plains, heading in the opposite direction. Even insects crawled away from the smoke. Nature itself was reacting to the new presence. The leader wanted to avoid all trouble, but trouble arrived anyway. A deep rustling came from the bushes. The group froze, expecting a lion or a giant hyena. The leader raised his stone weapon. Mothers held children close. Everyone tensed, ready to run or fight. But what stepped out was not a predator. It was a creature unlike anything they had ever seen. It walked on 4 limbs, but the movement was not like an animal. Its body was small, round, and strangely smooth. No fur, no clear eyes. Instead, it had a single dark surface on its front, shiny, reflective. A faint blue light pulsed from inside cracks across its shell-like body, as if something inside it glowed. The creature stopped only a few steps away. The leader roared in fear, raising his stone to attack. The others shrieked and backed away. The creature did not move. It simply tilted its body slightly, as if studying their reactions. It made a soft clicking sound, slow, gentle, rhythmic. Something about the sound calmed Luma. Before she realized what she was doing, she stepped forward. The leader turned toward her, his face twisted with confusion and anger. He barked warnings, but Luma ignored him. Her movements were slow and open. She raised her empty hands to show she meant no harm. The creature responded. At first, its blue light dimmed, almost flickering. Then it brightened again, steady and calm. It made another series of clicks, this time spaced differently. More curious, more focused on her. Luma took another step. The others gasped and pulled back. The leader hissed loudly, trying to stop her. But Luma's attention was fixed on the creature. She sensed no danger. She felt like she was standing at the edge of something sacred, something ancient and new at the same time. The creature moved a limb, thin, metallic, with strange joints, and placed on the ground between them. Slowly, very slowly, it pushed something forward, a small object. It looked like a stone, but not a natural stone. It was shaped perfectly, round, smooth, and glowing faintly from within. Luma crouched down and picked it up. The object was cold, lighter than she expected. The blue glow shimmered across her fingers. She turned it over in her hands, studying it. She did not understand what it was, but she felt something growing inside her mind, an awareness, a spark. The creature's lights flickered again, almost like a response to her touch. The leader panicked. He rushed forward with a roar and threw a stone weapon at the creature. It struck the creature's shell with a sharp crack. The creature stumbled backward, its lights flashing red for a moment. Luma cried out, not in words, but in fear for the creature. She reached toward it, but the leader grabbed her arm and pulled her behind him. But the creature did not attack. Instead, it backed away slowly, as if respecting their fear. Its blue light dimmed to a faint glow. It made one last soft clicking sound, short, sad, almost like a farewell, and then turned and moved into the taller grass. Within moments, it was gone. The group erupted with fear. They shouted, panicked, and pulled away from the direction the creature had gone. The leader pushed them to run. He believed they had survived a deadly encounter. Luma stayed behind for one last look at the grass where the creature disappeared. Her hand tightened around the glowing stone. She knew this was not the end. The creature had not come to hunt them. It had come to communicate, and it had chosen her. As the group fled toward the trees, Luma walked with them, but her mind was already far away, pulled toward the valley, toward the crash site, toward the creature who reached out from the sky. The first meeting had happened, but the real encounter was still ahead. The exchange. The next morning arrived with a strange mix of fear and expectation. The group gathered close together after a restless night. No one slept well. Every crack of a branch made them jump. Every shadow felt alive. The memory of the glowing creature still clung to their thoughts like fog that would not clear. But for Luma, the night had been different. She barely slept because she could not stop staring at the object the creature had given her. The smooth stone-like shape glowed softly in her hands, pulsing with a gentle blue light that brightened whenever she touched it. It felt alive, not like a living creature, but like something aware of her. She kept it hidden from the leader as best she could. He had watched her closely ever since the encounter, growling whenever she drifted toward the valley. He believed the creature was a threat, a sky thing that would bring death. But Luma's instincts told her something else. This creature wanted to share something, to communicate, to teach, and she felt the pull stronger than ever. As the group moved from one patch of trees to another, Luma kept glancing toward the valley. The smoke from the crash was thin now, rising like a narrow ribbon barely visible in the morning air. The metallic scent had faded. The land felt calmer, as if whatever energy had shaken it was slowly settling. The leader noticed her looking and barked sharply, but even he seemed tired of fear. He focused on keeping the group moving, urging them to find water before the sun grew too hot. While the group searched for food, Luma slipped away. Only a small distance, far enough to see the edge of the valley, close enough to run back if needed. She crouched behind a fallen log, scanning the tall grass. Her heart beat fast, but not in fear. It beat like she was waiting for something to return. And something did. A faint clicking sound broke the stillness. Luma straightened. Her eyes searched the grass. The clicking grew louder, then softer, like a signal. Then she saw the familiar glow, pale blue light, moving slowly between the grass blades. The creature approached. It stopped several steps away, as if giving her time to react. Its body lights were no longer bright like before. They glowed gently, calmly. The creature made a soft, whirring sound, as if greeting her. Luma stepped out from behind the log. This time she did not hesitate. She walked forward slowly, showing her hands, showing she carried no weapon. Her fingers opened to reveal the glowing object the creature had given her. The creature's lights brightened at the sight of it. A soft pulse rhythm passed over its surface. It lifted one thin, jointed limb and pointed toward the object. Luma held it out. The creature made a series of slow clicks. Patterns. Rhythms. They were not random. They were deliberate, controlled, almost like speech. Luma tried to imitate it. Her throat produced a low, clicking sound, not perfect, but similar. The creature paused, lights flickering. Then it made the sound again, slower, clearer. This was the exchange. Not words, not language. Something simpler. A beginning. Luma held the glowing object close and watched as the creature extended its limb again. This time, it traced a shape in the dirt, a circle, then another shape, a straight line crossing the circle. Luma knelt down and copied the shapes with her fingers. Her hands trembled with excitement. She did not understand their meaning, but the creature responded with a bright pulse of light, as if approving her attempt. Then it made another shape, an open V. Luma copied again. More pulsing lights. The creature was teaching her, sharing something, knowledge that would echo far beyond this moment. Suddenly, the creature paused. Its lights dimmed and then flickered rapidly, switching between blue and white. A strange sound came from inside it, low and shaky. It stepped backward, unsteady. Luma flinched, startled. She reached out as the creature lowered its body to the ground. It was injured, not from the leader's stone. No, its movements, its lights, its strange sounds, they all told Luma something deeper. The creature had been hurt in the crash. It was damaged, weak, struggling. It had come to her not to dominate, but because it needed help. Luma stepped closer. Her hands hovered over its shell-like body. The creature did not retreat. It made one soft clicking sound, gentle, trembling. She placed her hand on its surface. The creature's light steadied. Faint but steady, Luma stayed there, holding her hand against the creature, sharing warmth even though it was not truly alive the way she was. It felt cold, metallic, but she sensed awareness, understanding. After a long moment, the creature lifted its limb again. It gently pushed a new object toward her, thin, flat, shaped like a leaf but with strange lines etched across it. Another tool, another gift, another piece of the exchange. Luma accepted it with care. The creature then pointed toward the valley and made a soft, rising hum. Luma did not know the meaning, but she felt the pull. The valley was calling her. The crash site held more secrets. Maybe answers, maybe danger, but she felt no fear now, only purpose. A rustling shout broke the moment. The leader, he had found her. He burst through the grass, roaring in anger and fear. The creature lifted itself quickly, lights flashing red. Luma stepped between them, arms outstretched, trying to stop the attack. The leader stopped, only for a heartbeat, but it was enough. The creature turned sharply and slid back into the tall grass, vanishing within seconds. Gone again. The leader grabbed Luma roughly and dragged her away, furious. He did not understand what she was doing. He did not understand the exchange. But Luma did. She held both glowing objects close to her chest. The creature had shared knowledge, tiny sparks of understanding, early seeds of evolution. And even if the leader forbade her from returning, Luma knew the truth. This exchange was not over. It had only just begun.